Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Sunday video where I look at the hottest Golden Age comics of the week. There was a really cool sale that happened this weekend, and it was the Heritage Auction Signature Sale, and it was just like all these really kind of obscure, rare, cool Golden Age books. And I picked a bunch of them. I wish I could have put like a list, maybe 100 on this list, because there's just too many cool ones, but I tried to pick out some cool ones that are really interesting sales. It wasn't quite the success that I would have thought, and I'll get into that. And we'll start with number 10, which was Pep Comics number 31. This is from MLJ 1942. It's Irv Novak cover, and it's the first appearance of Mrs. Lodge. And it's a really cool one. You got a bondage cover. It's actually pretty cool cover for this book. And also it has a decapitation panel in it. So lots of cool things. This was a 3.0 that sold, and it was a gold label. That means that it's a signature. It was an authenticated signature of Irv Novak. Now, there's not that many Irv Novak covers or signed books. It was signed on the interior, which is sort of like an old style. Like nowadays, we always get people to sign the cover, but the old way was you'd get them to sign the interior page so that it wouldn't interfere with the cover art. Now, this is, a pretty cool book. It sold for $2,640. That's a interesting sale because there's nothing to compare it to. So this is the only one that's on the census signed book. So there's no other sales for this one. The only thing we have to compare to it is a Blue Label. Now, Blue Label 3.0 sold back in October of 2022 for $1,814. So this sold for about $800 more than the previous Blue Label sale. So a very strong sale for this book. I always see signatures as being worth around $200. I don't know. I never know how much they're really worth. It's really hard to say. Some signatures worth more than others. There are 32 of these on the census, and 30 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 9 on the list is Hit Comics number 5. This is from Quality Comics 1940, and it's a Lou Fine cover, and it's a classic cover. This is the guy wrestling a swordfish. I actually just noticed with this cover that his legs are actually in shackles. He's in bondage. So it's a bondage and swordfish cover, which is kind of cool. He's wearing this kind of weird see-through-y top too. It's very odd, but it's just a classic cover. This was a 3.5 that sold, and it sold for $3,600. Now, that's up from the prior record. The prior record was set back in January of 2023 for $3,120. So it's up to that around $1,000 per point price. So it's a pretty strong sale. There are 50 of these on the census, and 36 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 8 on the list is Shadow Comics number 4. This is from Street and Smith, 1940. It's a George Rosen cover, and it's a great decapitation cover. This is pretty out there. It's like, pretty gory cover. It's actually a reused cover. It was originally used in the Shadow Pulp from 1936, July 1st, 1936. And so it's a reused cover. This was a 6.5 that sold, and it sold for $4,080. Now, that is actually not a strong sale for this book. The previous record for this book was $5,206 from October of 2024. So just a few months ago it sold for $1,200 more. The last time that it sold for $4,080 was actually back in November of 2021. So this is actually a really weak sale. There's been a few sales in between, and they've been consistently higher. So I don't know what happened with this one. Might have been just missed, and somebody got a bit of a steal. a bit of steal on that one. There are 20 on the census, and 15 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 7 on the list is More Fun Comics number 54. This is from DC Comics 1940. It is a classic Bernard Bailey cover. It's considered probably the best Spirit cover by Bernard Bailey. And it's just one that is just desired for that Spirit cover. It's actually the third appearance of the Spirit, and just a classic cover. This was a 2.5 restored copy that sold. And it was A3, which is moderate restoration. And it sold for $4,320. Now, the restoration for this is interesting, actually. The cover, first and second wrap, are all married. It's got some trimming. It's got tear seals. It's got pieces added. It's got a lot of stuff done to it. So, interesting book. This one has no prior sales. Okay, so again, it's another one where this is one sale. Now we can compare it though to other books, so there was a 4.5 restored that sold, and it sold for $7,800 back in October of 2024. And there was actually a earlier sale, that same in 2024, in April of 2024, where a 4.5 restored sold for $10,800. So I would have thought this book would be in around that $5,000 to $6,000 mark. So this one really fell short of where you would expect it to go. Now, if you want to compare it to a Blue Label, well, it's really hard to do so. The most recent sale for a Blue Label 2.5 was back in November of 2006, so almost 20 years ago, and where a Blue Label sold for $2,270. So it's outpacing the Blue Label, but the Blue Label just hasn't sold for a while. But the interesting thing is the census on this one. There's 61 of these on the census, and only 37 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So almost half of the census is restored. And that's because this is a classic cover, and so many people would get them restored. So I thought that was interesting. Number 6 on the list is Phantom Stranger number 1. This is from DC Comics 1952. It's a Carmen Infantino cover, and it's the first appearance of the Phantom Stranger. Sort of a major key, kind of a cool character for DC, and one of the major characters for Justice League Dark. So major character. This was a 6.0 that sold, and it sold for $4,560. Again, this was a reasonably strong sale. The previous record for this book was set back in September of 2020 for $3,840. So a pretty strong sale. It's up about 10 to 15%. Good sale for this book. There are 118 of these on the census, and 106 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 5 on the list is Planet Comics number 1. This is from Fiction House 1940. It's a Lou Fine cover, and it's the first of a major title. This book started a pretty major franchise in terms of Fiction House. Planet Comics is kind of like one of their flagship titles. Like you got Jungle Comics, Jumbo Comics, Planet Comics, and Fight Comics and Ranger Comics. Those are the kind of major books for Fiction House. And this was a long running title, so very major title, and it's kind of one of those ones where it's a mixture of good girl and sci-fi. This book also has the first appearance of Arrow, who is one of these major characters in the title. This was a 4.0 that sold, and it sold for $5,280. Again, no prior sales to this one, so it's a little hard to kind of price it out. but we can compare it to a 4.5 that sold back in March of 2023, where a 4.5 sold for $10,200. So this one was almost half what the 4.5 sold for. I would have thought this book would go for closer to 8,000, maybe even 9. So just not a very strong sale. Not sure. This one, the weird thing is I've seen a lot of Planet Comics #1 coming up on market for some reason. Just there's like at least 5 in the last few months. It's really weird. I'm not sure why Planet Comics #1 coming up so many times, but it has been. There are 80 of them on the census, and 57 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 4 on the list is Reform Schoolgirls. This is from Avon, 1950. It is a classic book. This is a major book for SOTY collectors. It's one of the ones that was featured in the illustrations within the Seduction of the Innocent. And it's one where Frederick Wertham wrote blood, sex, violence, and torture, and is in its content or context. Sorry. So blood, sex, violence, and torture in its context. He really didn't like this. He felt like the fact that it was reformed schoolgirls, that it's kind of very targeting towards kids in his mind. It actually features the cover. The interesting thing is that the photo cover, the girl that's on the cover is a Canadian figure skater. Her name was Marty Collins. And it's just interesting that she's like dressed in this very floozy kind of way, I guess, or prostitute kind of way. Just a really interesting cover that's highly sought after just for the bizarreness of it. And the fact that it's a Seduction of the Innocent book. This was a 3.5 that sold, and it sold for $6,600. That's a really strong sale. The previous record for this book was set back in November of 2018 for $3,360. So it's basically doubled. Very strong sale. This is a very desired book. There's 75 of them on the census, and 51 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 3 on the list is Silver Streak Comics #7. This is from Lee Gleason, 1940. Lee Gleason, 1941. It's a Jack Cole cover, and it's a great classic Claw cover. The Claw is one of these interesting characters with like the crazy fangs and like weird fingers. I don't know how to describe them. Make the weird finger movement there. But this is also the first Daredevil cover. Now, it's not the modern Marvel Daredevil. This is the classic Golden Age Daredevil, where he has like a boomerang, like a red and blue suit. Just a really cool Golden Age character. This was a 4.5 that sold, and it sold for $7,200. Again, another strong sale because the prior record was set back in July of 2020 for $3,360. So again, another doubling, and actually the same price was the previous record as the previous book. So I thought that was interesting. So this one, another double, a little bit more than doubled. Very strong sale for this book. There are 44 of these on the census, and 35 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 2 on the list is Seven Seas Comics #4. This is from Universal Phoenix feature from 1947, and it's a classic Matt Baker cover. It's a shark cover. I personally love this cover. It's like a nice underwater scene with the beautiful girl and her hair flowing in a very Matt Baker way. Just a really classic Matt Baker cover. This was a 5.0 that sold, and it sold for $13,200, which is a really strong sale for this book. The prior record for this book was set back in August of 2019 for $9,900. Now, that is a pretty strong sale, but this book has been kind of going up consistently. Matt Baker, very desired right now. and it's been like 6 years. So it's gone up, about 40% in 6 years. It's not that bad, but it's not quite as much as I expected this book one to go for. I would have thought closer to the 14, maybe even 15,000. But still a really strong sale for this book. There are 48 of them on the census, and 48 are Universal Blue Labels. Number 1 on the list is Captain America, number 5. This is from Timely, 1941. It's a Jack Kirby and Sid Shores cover. And it's actually the first time that Stan Lee has a written story in a comic. It's his first written work, first published work in a comic. Very important book for Stan Lee collectors. It's also got a whole bunch of cool things going on for it. It's got this guy who's spinning a wheel of death. Got a guy in bondage in the cover, and Bucky and Captain America are rushing in to try to save him. It's got Nazis. It's got a killer clown. It's just got like so much going on. Really cool cover. Yeah, this one was a great book. This was a 5.0 that sold, and it sold for $20,400, which is a massive sale. This one really did set a record. The prior record for this book was set back in July of 2021 for $6,215. So this is up over 3 times what what the prior record was. And the weird thing is, this one is not like the Seven Seas. I could have said, oh, it maybe could have sold for a little bit more. I would have thought there would be a bit more of a growth. But this one actually, I wouldn't have expected to go. I would have thought maybe 10,000, because there was actually a 4.0 that sold back in November of 2024 for $4,560. So it's like, if you do the price per point, it's like $1,100 per point. So, that would have been around 6,000, like 6,000 range. This one sold for 20,000. It's just insane. This is a really strong sale. Yeah, somebody really wanted this, or a few people really wanted this book. Great book, though. Great book. I think somebody overpaid, actually. I think it's a little bit much. There's 117 of these on the census, and 78 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So what did you think of this list? Some up, some down, and some really big sales, some really weak sales. So all over the place. It was a little interesting. These are books that you just don't see that often, and it's really cool when Heritage has these signature auction sales. So I always like to report on them when they have them. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye for now.